And every week on the show, we bring on our news correspondent, Jason McClellan, to talk to us about some of that news. Jason, let's talk some UFO news, buddy.
Thank you, Alejandro. This is your Open Minds news brief for Monday, June 6th, 2011. On May 26th, the ABC news program called Nightline featured a confrontation between Annie Jacobsen, the author of the controversial book about Area 51 that is still making worldwide headlines, and ABC reporter Bill Weir. In her book, Jacobsen claims that an anonymous source told her that UFO parts recovered from the 1947 Roswell crash were actually from an advanced German aircraft, and that bodies recovered were actually children that had been mutilated by Joseph Mengele, the infamous Nazi physician who had performed gruesome human experiments during World War II. The anonymous source further stated that Joseph Stalin had flown this craft over the U.S. and with mangled children in order to trick the Americans into thinking this was a spacecraft flown by extraterrestrials, inciting a mass panic similar to the one caused by the airing of the radio program The War of the Worlds. Jacobs arranged to have Weir talk to this anonymous witness. However, Weir says the witness told him that he did not make all of the claims laid out in the book and described the gentleman as in his late 80s and seemed obviously confused and conflicted.
Yeah, we're of course very used to this in the UFO world, talking to witnesses who claim some extraordinary things, but of course not seeming to be completely with it themselves. I would imagine since she's been a journalist that's the thing, for so long, she probably knows better, and Weir was kind of telling her that, you know better, this isn't journalism. So it looks like she might have been just adding that whole kind of cherry on top just to sensationalize her book. And it worked because she sure did get a lot of coverage.
It certainly seems that way, and it's really unfortunate. But yeah, the ABC did a really good job of kind of calling her out.
Mm-hmm. Washington Post, really bashed her on the fundamentals of the claim, how it doesn't make sense, or, if this was an extraordinary craft, where is this technology now? And it's interesting because he even mentioned how the witness, Annie Jacobsen's witness, said, oh, yeah, well, we have this stuff. We have hover stuff and everything like that, which, of course, he's saying was developed from some of this. And so they really kind of took the whole argument apart, regardless of now the credibility of the witness, which himself doesn't seem like he accurately remembers things either.
Right. And you put that in an article, and we also have the video on our website of that ABC interview. So check that out at openminds.tv. In other news, In other news, 3 fast-moving lights in the sky above Oakland, California were captured on video on May 26th. As the Daily Mail reported, the video was uploaded to YouTube by the witness, who also captured similar lights in the sky in May and June of 2010. In the May 26 video, the lights move in a tight triangle formation through the night sky at 9:40 p.m. The witness who recorded the night vision video describes the lights as a UFO squadron. But based on the video, it's difficult to determine if the 3 lights are from one object or from 3 independent objects. Some who have viewed the video have suggested the objects in the sky might be a flock of birds. According to the Daily Mail, the witness has responded, "For all you bird lovers out there, you can call them geese if you like, but I will only laugh at you." But we and others have looked at different video. You can go on our website and see video of flocks of birds flying in the sky. And this is kind of interesting, Alejandro. Birds at night, through night vision, look very interesting in the sky. But they don't tend to keep this tight triangle pattern that this particular video shows.
Yeah, we posted one of the videos we posted are some birds in a triangular or in a formation, and they fly somewhat together. They're more of in a line. It's, I think, very, very slight. I can't shut the door on this latest video being birds because it's a really tight formation and they're all moving together, which I don't see how birds could do that. But because of that other video being slightly similar, maybe not, I don't know.
But you brought up some good points that there are other lights in this video in addition to the tight triangle formation.
Yeah.
And these lights don't just move together in a group. One was stationary and then started moving in a direction.
Oh yeah, those were the Ed Grimsley ones.
Right.
Yeah. Now, and right, exactly. When you look at these bird ones, Ed Grimsley's, his were blown off by MSNBC as being birds by this Radford and who works for Skeptical Inquirer and someone else from Skeptical Inquirer. But right, one's sitting there perfectly still, then it takes off. One is going in a direction, slows down, and turns completely around. I mean, it's here again, doesn't look like birds. And then the older one, the one from Fresno or Fremont in 2008, that is 5 lights in a perfect formation. Definitely not birds. So, I mean, these could be some kind of secret aircraft or something like that. But they're much, much more interesting and intriguing than especially the skeptic for MSNBC keeps putting on.
If you haven't done it, I highly recommend either getting or borrowing night vision equipment and checking out the sky at night. Mm-hmm. There's some cool stuff going on up in the sky. You see a lot of weird stuff.
I've seen a lot. You see so many satellites, and, you know, with some of them, it's hard to follow these things, so you have to get experience. I've seen things zooming around really fast. I haven't seen anything do like a right angle or turn or anything like that, but that's typically because I lose them fairly quickly because I don't have one myself, so it's usually borrowing one. I need to...
Well, and I mentioned before, I actually have gone out with Ed Grimsley on one of his night watches and have seen these things that do the right angles and the going in one direction, stop, and then go another direction. I have no idea what it is, but it's amazing to watch. So.
It's incredible. I think this is where a breakthrough can come. If people get out there with their night vision and take enough video, like Grimsley and like these other two gentlemen, and you get that in front of the experts, I mean, I think they'd be hard-pressed to come up with answers.
I think people tend to be a little too, not lazy, but, you know, rely on what other people have told us. We mentioned this with NASA, how every week NASA seems to figure something new out that we always thought they knew what was going on, but they have no idea. There are all these giant planets zooming around with no orbit. Well, you know, more people need to pick up their own telescopes, their own night vision equipment, and look at the sky for themselves, because there's all sorts of crazy things going on that we have no idea about, and nobody's telling us about them.
Yep.
So, in other news, Stephen Greer, founder of the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, has been charged in connection with allegedly operating a commercial venture on a national wildlife refuge, according to the Outer Banks Sentinel, and is scheduled to appear before the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of North Carolina next month. Greer has been leading ambassador training courses for nearly a decade, which are week-long intensive courses designed to prepare individuals for making peaceful contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. These training courses have been held at a national wildlife refuge in North Carolina for the past 4 years, and because of this, Greer is being charged with the operation of a commercial enterprise on a national wildlife refuge, trespassing on a national wildlife refuge, and violation of daylight use only regulation, which prohibits all nighttime activities on Pea Island except fishing. No permit was obtained by Greer or the organization to conduct business on the wildlife refuge. But as a spokesperson from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service told the Outer Banks Sentinel, "We don't allow and would not permit non-wildlife dependent commercial recreation activities, thus would not likely issue a permit for a UFO program, commercial or otherwise."
Yeah, we got a response from CSETI directly that we posted, and I kind of feel bad for them because it sounds like they got bad information, that they were told by someone who used to work for the park that that person had secured the right permits and gotten the right permissions,
right?
But that person actually hadn't, and they trusted that person. So I feel bad because they trusted this person. At the same time, they charge $1,000 a head for these things, so they probably should have checked with the park themselves to clear this stuff. But it doesn't seem right that, and I don't think that that Fish and Wildlife person was accurate in that they don't allow people to do anything in the land that isn't wildlife related.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. But it is interesting that they seem to have a daylight-only regulation as well. And obviously, sky watching would be at night.
Yeah.
So if they forbid all night activities as well, it's interesting how people were able to get on the land anyway.
Yeah, most parks are like that, where they have a sign up that says you can't be here after dark.
That's true. That's true.
And I've done this. I've organized these sky watches, and usually you have to go and you have to get permission, and some places won't let you and some places will.
But yeah, the quotes that they provided from the officials seem like they were kind of discriminating against against UFO people, because they said, really, it doesn't matter. We wouldn't give you a permit anyway. So
Yeah, that's not cool.
not cool at all. Well, I know you like movies, Alejandro, and I know you're looking forward to this one. Super 8 is being hyped up through a variety of marketing efforts. A Super 8 iPhone application was released last month that lets you create your own vintage movies with the Super 8 camera emulator. And if that weren't cool enough, Paramount Pictures and the convenience store chain 7-Eleven have announced a Super 8 promotion that will be giving away a trip to space. 7-Eleven Chief Marketing Officer Rita Bergerhoff explained the Super 8 promotion, saying, not only will there be special prizes and a retro look from the 1970s at the stores in honor of the movie, this promotion will rank as the largest ever for 7-Eleven, with an expected 21,000 prizes distributed. Topping it off will be a suborbital space flight, our grandest prize ever. Even if you don't win the grand prize of a space flight, they are still giving away 10 zero-gravity trips in cooperation with the company Space Adventure. Super 8 hits theaters this Friday. And Alejandro, there you go. Your dream is there. You can go to space.
Yes. All I have to do is drink Slurpees. I need to go get my Slurpee cup anyways. I was really excited with the Simpsons movie when they did this. I still have my Slurpee Simpsons cups. When they made them Quickie Marts. We had one of those in Denver, a 7-Eleven that was a Quickie Mart for a few weeks.
Right.
So, yeah, pretty exciting. And what if you go on this space trip? I'd imagine it's the Virgin Galactic one, because they're closest to being ready, where you just kind of go up into space and come back. But that'd be a lot of fun. The zero gravity one, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, I'd take it, but I'm more excited about the suborbital flight.
Yeah, totally.
But I don't think they've announced a partner for that. The only partner they announced for any of the space stuff was Space Adventures, which is, a space tourism company, and they do these zero-G flights right now, but I think they're one of the companies that's working on taking people into space. So
yeah, they're working on it, but some of these others, I think they're the ones who are hooking up with the Russians, aren't they?
Yes.
To do the $150 million ones.
Right.
That'd be cool. You go spend time on the space station, get flown up there by the Russians.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Even cooler is getting this free ride through 7-Eleven.
Yep.
It's the way to go. Paramount Pictures announced on Thursday that it acquired the rights to make an animated adaptation of the Penny Arcade online comic strip, The New Kid. The Escapist explains that the plot of the New Kid comic strip is centered around a boy and his father talking about how they are constantly forced to move from planet to planet by his father's job, making the boy a constant new kid at school. In addition to New Kid, Paramount is also distributing the upcoming extraterrestrial-related movies Super 8 and Transformers Dark of the Moon, and is also scheduled to distribute Paranormal Activity 3, a Star Trek sequel, and a movie about Area 51. So Paramount Pictures seems to be very into the topic, but I guess this isn't a fantastically new theme concept for a movie, but and it's again an ET movie geared towards children. It's about a boy who is the new kid in school, but the school is a school filled with a classroom filled with extraterrestrials. So instead of a lot of the movies geared toward children and everybody else that we watch, where a lone extraterrestrial comes to Earth, this has the Earthling being the lone human on a different planet.
Mm-hmm.
So again, more extraterrestrial themed movies targeted towards children.
Yeah, but that's been, I mean, there's all kinds of, I don't think it's a growing trend necessarily. There's tons of cartoons for a long time that have been around extraterrestrials. A good portion of the cartoons out there, if you go watch and go see the cartoons, have aliens in them or are alien related. It's definitely a genre that's huge when it comes to cartoons.
Right. Yes, and you and I have had this conversation. We talked about Marvin the Martian and other things.
Yeah.
So you are right. It's been implanted in my brain since I was a wee lad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have a cool photo from this past week. A man who recently was vacationing in the outskirts of Kunming, China, accidentally photographed a UFO. He says he snapped 2 photos of the scenery, and later when he was reviewing the shots later that night, he noticed 3 black dots hovering above the Songhua Dam in the photos. He thought the largest dot looked like a butterfly. Becoming UFO Research Society president Zhang Yifeng ruled out that it was a butterfly. He stated, "It has a saucer shape of a UFO. I believe it is a UFO, but I can't confirm anything yet with just one photograph." That's kind of a fun photo from last week.
Yeah, it's pretty background too.
It is. It's a very nice photo, and he's right. I mean, you look at it, and it does sort of look like a butterfly, one of those.
Yeah, usually I say, especially if people don't see it, typically it's a bird or something, or a bug, because they zip by and you don't think anything of it.
That or something they created.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That is one of the red flags. We talked about that before, when people say, "Oh, I didn't notice it when I took the picture, but I was reviewing it later and noticed this mysterious dot."
But you never know.
But you never know. I've done that myself in a lot of photos. You go back and look, you're all, what is that?
Yeah.
Or more often, you take a picture of you and your friends, and in the background there's a weirdo with a weird face, and you're all, well, who's that guy in my photo?
Yeah.
That's in all the photos I take of you, Alejandro. Who's that guy? Well, in a continuing trend of government X-Files, it's been a hot topic. All these governments with their X-Files, a lot of files have been released this year. Well, apparently not Australia. Their X-Files have gone missing. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, the Australian Department of Defence has lost its X-Files. The Herald reportedly sought to obtain files from the Department of Defense relating to UFOs via a Freedom of Information request. But after 2 months of searching, the department was unable to locate the files. The Herald reports that the department's FOI assistant director informed them that only one file could be located, and the others had been destroyed. Another UFO file showed up in the system, but again, the FOI assistant director informed the Herald that the files could not be located, and Headquarters Air Command formally advised that this file is deemed lost. Like in several other countries, defense officials in Australia investigated and kept records of UFO sightings for decades. The Royal Australian Air Force, the RAAF, was charged with investigating UFOs, or UAS, unusual aerial sightings, reports. According to department memo, this function ceased in 1996 after consideration of the scientific records suggesting that there was no compelling reason for the RAAF to continue to devote resources to the recording and investigation of UAS. Department of Defense heads decided to stop taking UFO sighting reports in November of 2000, according to the Sydney Morning Herald. Lost the files. That's fishy.
Yeah, and I didn't get to read a whole lot about this, but I think one of the reasons, and you can correct me because you probably read more, that they know these files were there is because one researcher had seen the files.
Right.
And in the past as part of his job or something. So they knew that they existed at some point.
You're right. Some people had seen these files that have gone missing, and even some, like the person said, were indicated in the system, but when they went to go to get the file from where the system was telling them that the files lived, there was no file.
Yeah, that's awfully suspicious. That's very interesting. Maybe that was Australia's way to just deal with the subject. We don't have to answer any questions if we just lose the files.
Filed in the shredder.
Yeah.
And one last bit of news, Alejandro. This was something that just came out today. There are rumors, and you probably heard these rumors, that during a special screening of E.T. the Extraterrestrial at the White House in 1982, Ronald Reagan made a comment about everything in the movie being true. Well, those rumors have now been confirmed by the film's maker, Steven Spielberg. In an interview with Ain't It Cool News that was published today, Spielberg was asked about the Reagan rumors, to which he replied, he just stood up and looked around the room, almost like he was doing a head count, and he said, I want to thank you for bringing E.T. to the White House. We really enjoyed your movie. And then he looked around the room and said, and there are a number of people in this room who know that everything on that screen is absolutely true. Spielberg went on to say, I'm a little bit of a ufologist. I was hoping that there was something more to the joke than met the eye. I'm sorry to say, I think he was simply trying to tell a joke.
Yeah, that's really, and you know what's funny with this story too? I'm so excited about this story because I've always been curious about this rumor. It's just been a rumor, so you kind of put it on the back burner. I know Grant Cameron of presidentialufo.com had gotten a letter from a friend who spoke to a friend of Spielberg's who said that he confirmed it with Spielberg, but still that's kind of third hand. So it's really exciting to not only get it firsthand, because we have the transcript like you just read from, but if you go to our site, the guy at Ain't It Cool News also put up the audio recording so you can hear Spielberg talking about it and his excitement about this whole event. So it's really cool. This is just, I think, for me, this is really exciting. I love this Spielberg stuff, and the idea of getting to talk to him about UFOs and everything is just so exciting to me.
Right, and we've all known that, he definitely has an interest in the subject because the majority of his films and television projects and everything deal with the subject. But to hear him refer to himself as a ufologist is kind of interesting, too.
Yeah, that's really cool because he's been so elusive,
Right.
especially lately, about his belief in UFOs when it was obvious. And
Well, he's always dodged this rumor, too.
Yeah. So it's great to hear finally, what's going on. And then this whole was it real or was it not is was it a joke or was it not? I mean, it's kind of exciting too because what if it wasn't? He said he was straight-lipped. He just said it straight, so he couldn't tell if it was a joke or not, but everybody laughed and he let him believe it was a joke. So It's definitely interesting. And what was really funny, too, is later on, and I thought, here we're going to get to the meat of it, because he said he did get a one-on-one with Nancy and Ronald, and then they did whisper something to him, but it was just Ronald Reagan saying, why do the credits on the movies have to be so long? They should be
Can't
shorter.
they just be 15 seconds?
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, really funny.
Well, just one of the great stories, one of the many great stories from this last week, and you can read all about them on our website, openminds.tv, your source for UFO-related news. And that is it for the news for today. I'm your Open Minds news correspondent, Jason McClellan, and you've been briefed.